Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about transplanting. Hopefully you've seeded some plants and they've grown a little bit. So I'm going to talk about when to know when, generally when your plant is ready to go outside, as long as it's warm enough. If you live in Roseburg, your frost date, predicted last frost date is April 5th. So you're technically ready to go. Be a little wary and check out the temperatures at night for the next few weeks. If it does get cold at night, you can just drape something over your small plant. Cloth, even like a scarf or plastic works. Take it off in the morning and don't worry about it. But otherwise, I want to just talk about what a plant might look like when it's ready to go in. So I have these guys. They're ready to go. There's spinach right here. I've actually got a few bits of lemon balm over here and lavender, which is exciting. So I want to look at these, and I know these are ready to go for multiple reasons you could know. If I had it in a smaller pot, you might be able to see its roots at the bottom, but you can't see out of this one. There are no roots coming out of the bottom of this plant. However, it's because this is deep enough. However, I can look at their leaves, and they are quite big, so I know generally that they're big enough. But this is an example right here. So we have a plant that has its true leaves. Each plant, when it's grown, it's got these little baby leaves that grow out, these tiny little leaves. Sometimes they're long and skinny, like when it's spinach, and usually they're actually shaped like little hearts. And those are its baby leaves, kind of like baby teeth. So they grow first. They're actually full of nutrients and vitamins. That's why a lot of people eat microgreens. However, we're not growing these for microgreens. We actually want spinach to grow. So I look at these, and this has its true leaves growing. These guys, you can tell, they look like full spinach leaves. They're not these wirely little skinny leaves right here. And that way we know they're actually ready to go on the ground. And spinach is a great thing to transplant at this time. So today we are going to be transplanting 2 broccoli heads. And I think I'm going to just transplant these 2 spinach heads. This one's small, and I have the space in my house to take care of it a little bit longer to get it bigger. So one thing you're going to want to do is make sure your soil is nice and wet for the transplant. So we want these plants to be happy and comfortable, and we don't want the soil to fall apart. And then we want to make sure we have a nice place for them to go. So you want to make sure when they grow up and they're big enough, when they're their full potential, they have enough space for them to grow. Spinach is low and doesn't need incredible amount of space, whereas broccoli grows quite tall and bushy and big, so it needs more space. I'm going to plant these with about 1.5 foot spacing between them and other plants. Okay, so I'm going to start planting in my garden. You can't tell, but I've actually already planted a few things. So I did direct seed some beets and carrots. Now carrots really like sandy soil, so they probably won't do that well here. I'll probably pull them out as baby carrots. So they'll be really fresh and crunchy and quite sweet, but really small. And I won't mind if they're clustered. So I actually have an eye shape all the way to the edge, through the middle, and then to the front of the bed. Are carrots down the center and then beets at either end. Those are really great things to direct seed because they're tap roots. That means they have one main root. And we want to put those directly into the ground. We don't really like transplanting those. Sometimes you can if they're really small, but the roots are really particular. So we like to direct seed those. So I actually have some space in this garden already taken up. So now I do have free space out here, and I want to plan. The broccoli are quite big, and I don't want to put them right next to each other because pests can jump easily from one plant to the other, and it invites a whole bunch of pests for broccoli and leafy greens if they're all near each other. So when we're transplanting, we want to make sure that the soil is damp. And then once we're done moving the plant into the ground, we're going to water this area to try to encourage the roots to spread out and suck in more moisture. And then that way they actually root out into the soil and they make themselves at home. So this plant wants to go as deep in the ground as this pot is tall. So I want to make sure that I dig a hole that is deep enough for my little broccoli plant to get inside of. So this will be perfect. I'm going to simply put my hands around the stem like this, turn it upside down and squeeze the sides a little bit and pull it off. So this is a little bit drier than I'd actually like it to be, so I'm honestly going to spray it a few times. So as you can see, this is not root bound. There are a few roots running around the outside, but it's not a big deal. It's actually quite perfect. So that's like the ideal amount of roots that we want. So I will simply put it in the ground and I'll tuck it in. And that's all we're doing. A little pat down, but nothing too much. We don't want to push it down so aggressively that water can't trickle into the soil. We want to make sure we're tucking it in like we want to be tucked into bed, nice and gentle. So this is where my plant is going to stay. I would suggest transplanting in the morning or in the afternoon. So it's 4 o'clock when I planted this. It's still a little bit sunny, but there are shadows in this area because the root systems are really sensitive. We don't want the roots getting full-blown sunlight all the time when we're transplanting them. So it's ideal to do it earlier in the morning or late in the afternoon, so it's just less traumatic for the plants. Now, another thing to keep in mind before you transplant your plant is maybe put it outside a day or two before you transplant it. It's called hardening your transplant. Hardening, like to make it hardier, stronger. Sometimes I just bring it out during the daytime and then bringing it back in at night. Maybe I leave it outside for a warm night, and that's just to get the plant comfortable and used to the environment and temperature that it's going to move into. That's really a great idea if you have the capability. So now I'm going to move on to transplanting my spinach. So just like with the broccoli, I'm going to flip it, try to get my hands a little bit underneath this, flip it upside down, squeeze the sides, and I'm going to let it fall out into my fingers. Try to hold it. Flip this back, right side up. A little bit of dirt fell out, but that's okay because these roots are not as deep as the broccoli. So I'm going to take this little spinach plant, dig it into the ground, want it nice and deep as it was inside of the starter. Tuck it in. And that's its new home. So again, we want to make sure we water this really well tonight, so that way those roots are reaching out and feeling happy, spreading out into the ground and establishing itself into the soil right here. So now that I've got my transplanted planted, and of course more to come, and some direct seeded plants, I want to make sure I'm upkeeping the weeding and the watering, not watering too much, but watering when it looks a little bit dry. We don't want our plants to dry up. It's been a sunny last week, and it's going to be another sunny week, so these plants are going to be a little bit thirsty because they're used to my attention every single day, giving them a little bit of water inside. And so yeah, weeding, watering, paying attention to your plants, and if they start having little holes, you can contact your local master gardener to figure out what pest is bothering it. And there are different ways to repel pests. Like I said, I'm going to plant marigolds, garlic, and onions. Those are really good ways to stop bugs that you don't want coming into your garden. Keep them out through smelly things like that. And then the plus is we get to eat the onions and garlic, and marigolds look beautiful. So if you guys are interested, I can also do a video on how to plan where to plant things. There are really great things that like growing next to each other. It's called companion planting. They help each other out, like the onion and garlic and marigolds. They're little tricks of the trades that make your garden look beautiful and it's full and you have a bunch of variety and different plants and they all work really well together. So if you have any questions, feel free to comment or send a video or a photo down below. I'd love to hear back from you. And if any of my students are watching, hi guys, I hope you're doing well. And I hope you guys get to grow something at home or at least go out for a walk. So enjoy the sunshine and you'll hear back from me soon, and enjoy your garden and your plants. Have a great day.